I never imagined a single photo could unravel everything I thought I knew. It was a quiet Thursday evening when Emma, my coworker and longtime friend, approached me in the office kitchen. She gave me that soft, lingering hug, the kind that used to make my chest tighten with something I could never fully name. I stepped back, a little stiffly, and she frowned, confused. "Why are you ignoring me?" she asked, her voice small but edged with worry. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm of thoughts inside me. For months, things had shifted between us, subtle at first, almost imperceptible. She had become warmer, closer, in ways that made me both nervous and thrilled. But beneath that warmth, something had changed, something I couldn't ignore anymore. "Emma," I said finally, keeping my tone even, "I need you to see something." I pulled my phone from my pocket and handed it to her. Her eyes flicked to the screen, then widened in shock. On the display was a photograph, one she had never imagined I would ever find. She saw herself laughing, leaning a little too close to someone she shouldn't have been, her hand brushing his arm in a way that spoke volumes without words. The man beside her was someone I had always trusted. Mark, her colleague from another department, who she claimed was just a friend. Her hands flew to her mouth. For a moment, she said nothing. Her eyes, wide and glistening, searched mine, seeking understanding, pleading for a reaction I wasn't ready to give. I don't know what to say," she stammered. I let the silence stretch, heavy with everything that had been unsaid between us. I could feel the tension ripple across the room. Memories flashed in my mind. Late nights when she had lingered too long in the office. Those subtle mentions of dinners she'd had with Mark. Always casual, always innocent in her words. I had brushed them off at first, telling myself I was imagining things, letting my trust in her override the nagging doubts. But seeing the photo changed everything. It wasn't just a moment. It was a pattern, one I had finally been forced to acknowledge. "Emma," I said quietly, but firmly, "this isn't something small. I need to understand why." Her shoulders slumped, and the energy that usually radiated confidence and warmth seemed to crumble. She looked down at her hands, twisting the hem of her sweater. I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, voice trembling. "I thought it was harmless. Just a laugh. Just a moment. I didn't think it would ever matter." Her explanation hung in the air, fragile and unconvincing. I could see the guilt etched into her features, the way her eyes darted away from mine, how her fingers fidgeted with the corner of the counter. I had spent too long pretending that this couldn't hurt me, that nothing had shifted between us, but the truth was undeniable now. For a long moment I said nothing. I just stared at her, letting her see the weight of disappointment, the quiet ache of betrayal in my gaze. It wasn't anger I felt, not entirely. It was a mix of disbelief, sadness, and the painful realization that the trust one had placed in her had been violated in ways I hadn't wanted to acknowledge. Finally, I spoke, my voice low but steady. "Emma, I showed you this because you need to see it for what it is. Not to shame you, not to yell, but so we can face reality. This, all of it, can't be ignored." Her lips quivered, and she shook her head. "I know. I didn't know how to stop it once it started. I didn't think it would go this far. Please, don't hate me." Hate. The word bounced in my mind. Did I hate her? Part of me wanted to scream, wanted to turn and walk away forever. But another part, the part that remembered all the years we had spent laughing, sharing, building a bond, resisted. I didn't hate her. Not entirely. What I felt was something far more complicated. Betrayal entwined with a reluctant, aching care that refused to vanish. I turned my gaze back to the photo one more time, then back to her. "It's not about hate, Emma. It's about clarity. About seeing the truth and deciding what comes next." She nodded slowly, tears gathering in her eyes. I understand." And in that quiet moment, with the hum of the office around us, everything shifted. What came next would not be simple nor easy, but at least we were no longer pretending. The photo had broken the illusions we both held, and now the real reckoning, the conversation, the decisions, the truth had begun. The next few days were tense, a fragile silence stretching between us like a fragile thread ready to snap. Emma avoided my gaze at work, hovering near the edges of the office, careful not to intrude on my space. I, on the other hand, felt a strange mix of anger, disappointment, and an odd sense of anticipation. I needed her to confront the truth fully, to understand the consequences of what had happened. That Friday evening, I asked her to meet me at the small cafe near the corner of our street, the one where we had shared countless coffees and conversations long before this mess began. She arrived early, hands clasped nervously in front of her, eyes red-rimmed but earnest. "Emma," I started, my voice measured. "We need to talk. Really talk. No distractions, no excuses." She nodded, taking a seat across from me. The tension was palpable. I could see her wrestling with how to begin, but I let her take her time. Finally, she whispered, I didn't mean for it to get this far. I made a mistake, one that I can't take back." I leaned back slightly, studying her carefully. "A mistake is a momentary lapse. What you did, the way you let this unfold with Mark, the closeness, the lies, that's a pattern, Emma. And patterns are dangerous." She flinched at the word but didn't interrupt. I continued, keeping my voice calm, though each word was weighted with truth. "You've been asking for attention in ways you never needed before. You tested boundaries that weren't yours to test. And now we're here, standing on the edge of something neither of us expected." Her tears began to fall, silent and steady. "I was lonely, confused. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you until I saw how distant you had become." "That's the thing," I replied, softening just a fraction. "You don't get to measure your pain by mine. I've been present. I've been loyal, and I loved you every day. What you did, it's not just about you being confused or lonely. It's about us, and the trust you shattered." She looked down, shame and regret heavy in her posture. "I know. I see it now. I see how blind I was. How selfish." I paused, letting the weight of her confession settle between us. And then, slowly, I pulled out my phone again, this time opening a folder I hadn't shared before. More photos, more moments. Not just of her with Mark, but of her small daily betrayals. Secret texts, late-night excuses, subtle flirts. She gasped softly as she saw them, and I could feel the shock ripple across her. "I need you to understand the reality of what's happened," I said, my voice quiet but unyielding. "This isn't punishment. It's clarity. You need to see fully the choices you've made, the path you've taken." Her shoulders shook as she whispered, "I never thought you'd find out. I never thought anyone would see." "Now you know," I said. "And with knowing comes responsibility. What happens next depends on what you do with it." For the first time in days, she looked me in the eyes, raw and vulnerable. "I want to fix this," she said, voice trembling. "I don't want to lose you. I'll do whatever it takes." I leaned back, taking a deep breath. I could feel the pull of my old affection for her, the comfort of years spent together. But I also felt the sting of betrayal, the careful, invisible cracks that had formed over months. "Emma," I said slowly, "I need to be honest. Fixing this isn't about gestures or promises. It's about proving every day that you respect me, my boundaries, and the trust we once had. Actions, not words. And even then, nothing guarantees that things can return to how they were." She nodded fervently, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I understand. I'll do anything. I'll leave Mark, cut off contact with anyone who's influencing me wrong. I'll focus on us." I watched her carefully, noting the sincerity but also acknowledging my own reservations. The past weeks had changed me too. I had discovered new boundaries, a clarity about what I would and would not tolerate. I had grown in ways that she hadn't anticipated, and she would have to respect that if she wanted any chance of redemption. We left the cafe together, walking slowly under the evening sky. The streets were quiet, lit by the soft glow of street lamps, and for the first time in days, there was a fragile sense of hope between us. Not certainty, not reconciliation guaranteed, but hope, tentative and cautious. And in that moment, I realized something important. Trust, once broken, could be rebuilt, but only with truth, transparency, and unwavering effort. I didn't know what the future held for us, whether this would be the beginning of a new chapter or the end of the one we had shared. But I knew one thing. The truth, however painful, had set us on a path where clarity replaced illusion, and that, in itself, was worth everything.